if you're meant to do Kundalini, like you're meant for it. Like your soul just connects with it. You become obsessed with it. It's one of the fastest ways to like bring yourself back online with your intuition. You can start to embody like exactly who you're meant to be, you know, or like we love to watch a good action show, but we don't want to take any bold action in our own lives.
Oh, yes.
I invite you to like go after them, because why not you? Like, why can't it be you?
Yeah. Hello everyone, and welcome back to my YouTube series called Facial Features, where I bring in a friend of mine or a special guest into my treatment room and we talk about something they're passionate about while I give them a facial in my space. In today's episode number 3, we have my dear friend Steph, who I actually met online at 3 a.m. during a long McIntyre Kundalini practice. And she comes in today and talks about sound therapy and Kundalini yoga. She's so deeply knowledgeable and passionate about what she does, and we really get into how you can use both Kundalini and sound therapy to up-level your life. This might be one of my favorite conversations yet, and I really hope you guys enjoy this conversation with my lovely friend Steph. Welcome back everyone to my Facial Features episode 3. Today I have my beautiful friend Steph, and we're going to talk about sound therapy and Kundalini today. So why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Hey, thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Of course.
Yes, it's so nice to be here. This is like the most relaxing way to have a conversation. So I'm Steph, and I own a wellness company called Earth Sounds, and we do sound healing, and I teach Kundalini yoga and meditation, and generally I'm just trying to make people feel like they can achieve their really big dreams in their lives. So I see like sound healing, meditation, yoga, all of that's kind of a function of being essentially like the cheerleader that a lot of people don't get in their lives. So yeah, that's like a little summary, and it's cool because that's how you and I met, right? It's
yes.
Like meditation.
Yeah, what is it, 3 a.m., 4 a.m.? Is that how we met?
Yeah, totally. It's so cool. Yeah. Like, shout out, we were both in this like amazing meditation group, and they were running a like 3 a.m., 2.5 hour long Ekkonkar, which is like a beautiful Kundalini chant. And I posted up who's gonna do this from Mountain Standard Time, which was the 3 a.m. And then you responded. I feel like there's definitely some collaborations that are gonna be in the works.
Oh,
here.
100%. Yeah, I was talking in my first episode of Facial Features about how I feel like this is the year for like collaboration, and I feel that so much. Like I feel like we could do so much together.
Okay, stop. I literally set my intentions for this year. My words were collaboration and community.
Really?
Yes.
That is so cool.
Because that's exactly what I'm like, you know, I don't feel like it's necessarily been missing, but it's something that I want to focus on so much. So like even within just the first like last month, I had an amazing Buddhist teacher come teach in my like monthly workshop series, and he's like this amazing Buddhist teacher from LA, and it's so cool because it's like getting people from different areas to just connect, and like he brought such a community vibe to the workshop itself by like something I had never even thought of doing, which was like checking in with everyone in the workshop and being like, where are you at? What are you up to? Like, what's going on? Like, you know, you get so used to maybe like teaching when you're teaching that you forget that, yeah, community building is really checking in with the people that are building this community with you. So yeah, I've been trying to I'm trying to figure out where to collaborate, and I have some plans for you and I for sure.
Perfect. I love that.
Yeah, that's super cool.
How did you first get introduced to Kundalini and sound therapy?
Yeah, so kind of different times in my life. Before I kind of had my like come to this path moment, there was a Kundalini studio here in Kensington for a while. Or sorry, not here, but like in Calgary.
Yeah.
And I remember going to a class, and it's called Dharma Collective. And I had heard of Kundalini. I had a friend who was doing Kundalini yoga training, and I went to a class, and they were talking about how they used to get up at 4 a.m. to do long Ekkonkar. And they taught it in the class, and I felt like I got hit with a lightning bolt. Like I was like, what is this?
Yes.
I love that. Yeah, it's just so, if you're meant to do Kundalini, like you're meant for it. Like your soul just connects with it. You become obsessed with it. and I like loved it, especially the chanting. I've always been super into singing, and it felt just so great. So I was hitting that studio up while it was open, but at the same time I had like a super ego death, and then I literally almost died twice. Like I had like an existential crisis, an ego death, and then like 2 almost physical deaths all in the same year.
Oh my goodness.
Which is like absolutely wild. So, but I felt very like divinely protected from that. Like the fact that I was alive after what I had gone through was so crazy. And it just put me on a different path. Like I remember having to recover from being super sick in the hospital, and I still didn't really have my life on track, and all I was doing every day was like spending time in the sun and listening to podcasts and trying to just meditate and heal. But I ended up picking up this book, The Autobiography of a Yogi by Paramahansa Yogananda, and I read it like cover to cover in my sunroom in like 2 days.
Wow.
It was wild, and like it's one of those books that they say it actually has, if you pick the physical book up, it has a spiritual transmission within the pages, within the words. You know how if you read something really spiritual, like you can feel it, right?
Yeah.
So from there you could actually sign up to be one of their students. You could be in the fellowship. You had to sign off and like say you wouldn't share any of the meditations you were taught, which is so cool. I thought it was so cool. So I did that. I did it was essentially like 18 lessons that they physically mailed to you, which was so funny. So they sent that out to me, and then from there everything just like changed in my life. Like I started a pretty rigorous meditation practice where I would meditate twice a day. But at the time I'd still drink here and there, and I like ended up quitting drinking, and I hadn't really been messing around too much with Kundalini. But then I started up with Benchen, which is like the course I was saying you and I met at, or like the group we met in, and the parts that I loved the most were the meditations, like deeply. And I love that Kundalini is such a lineage that bows to yourself as like the divine. Like even when you tune in and you chant, you're bowing to the divine teacher with it. So I got really obsessed with that, and I also got kind of into sound healing. Had just been going to sound healings and feeling like literally that it just resonated, which it does. It just harmonizes you. So within the course of like, even I would say in a year, it was like my life fully changed, and I just like leaned into everything: meditation, spirituality, and did my sound healing training in LA with this amazing teacher. Her name is Anna, and she does these beautiful sound healings in Malibu every Sunday. So if you're in LA ever, oh my gosh, it's like overlooking the ocean. She has multiple sound healers. So I trained with her, and then same thing, I was hooked. Like the thing with sound healing is like, in terms of manifestation, those sort of qualities, it's one of the fastest ways to like bring yourself back online with your intuition. So same thing, it's like I found within like a couple months I had all these things that were accelerating my path. So the meditation, the Kundalini, the sound healing. So I did the sound healing training, and then I did 2 yoga teacher trainings with Rama Institute, one in New York and one in LA. And from there I started my business, and just have kind of like, I feel like these are just these accelerators, and I feel like I've hit the ground running, and I've been sharing this work with people, and people just like resonate and feel really good. So I mean, that's a pretty like long response to how I got into sound healing. But
love it.
Yeah, that's how I got into it, and it's just been absolutely life-changing.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like once I started like practicing Kundalini on a more regular basis, especially the chanting, that's kind of like one of the things that I was almost like most weary about when it came to Kundalini, because like typical meditation, you like sit by yourself and you're in silence or whatever. But the chanting and like the arm movements and everything, I feel like is what makes Kundalini so unique. I find sometimes when you're online and they're like, if you can chant out loud or whatever. And at first, like I didn't start chanting, and then once you chant the mantras like out loud and actually start diving into that, you can like notice such a difference when you're like chanting and doing the arm movements and all of that kind of stuff and really following through with the meditations, it just like makes a whole like huge difference. I find like it like up levels your meditation practice so much.
Totally. And we always talk about Kundalini being like a transportation system, and it's like one of the fastest ways to change like where you're at to get from A to B.
Yeah.
And the reason it's so fast is like when you are chanting and you are moving your arms, and these movements are really specifically targeted to affect you on these subtle body levels, right? So there's like a 10 body system, and so you're doing something externally, you're chanting, but you're also just connecting into your energetic body, your auric body, your arc line, and it's similar with sound healing. I think they just complement each other so well. But
I do.
Yeah, what's happening is like we all have a biomagnetic field. We all have an aura, and people who are small or depressed have diminished fields, they have diminished auras, they have stuck patterns of thinking that literally live in their like energetic fields. So the chanting, the movement, and things like gong or sound healing, gong especially is really powerful for dissolving those thought patterns, but you're working on this really subtle energy field. And that's why, you'll notice if you're really dedicated to your practice, like people are treating you differently, people are responding to you differently, opportunities might come more easily, and you also might lose people faster. And that's like such a good thing.
Yeah.
Have you noticed that, where it's like when people aren't meant for you, they're kind of dropping faster?
Yeah, I 100% agree. I feel like ever since I've been really religious with my routine, and that's like my word of the year is devotion, is like really devoting to myself. I find that people do, like, you notice more about yourself, and then you also realize like certain people are maybe like holding you back, or aren't aligned with you anymore, and like vice versa, they're like, this person's not aligned with me anymore. And so you feel like you find and like hone in on your people a little bit more.
I totally agree. And I think it's like, it's such a blessing to understand when not to like hold on to something or grasp at something. Like a big thing for me too, like devotion, I love that. That's a huge theme for me, like devotion to self, but also opening your hands to receive. Like when you're clutching and grasping and like clinging, that's when you're so stuck and small, and your aura gets impacted. And like, how many times have we done that, like dating or with friends or jobs, where you're just like clinging? But when you open your hands, like you can receive the things that are meant for you versus chasing things that are not a fit right now, right? Like
Totally.
And it's no judgment on maybe people or things that you've been connected with in the past, but it's kind of like you build this like shield where the wrong things kind of fall off a lot easier, which is super cool.
Yeah, I agree. So for someone who's maybe never heard of Kundalini or even like sound baths or sound therapy, I know not so much Kundalini, because I can say like Kundalini yoga and people kind of get the general gist, but when I say like, oh, have you been to a sound bath before, people are like, what are you even talking about? So how would you describe both of those, I guess, to someone?
For sure. So as we were kind of just mentioning, like Kundalini is, it's yoga because it's like tied into this spiritual kind of original version of yoga, which is like to yoke with God or union with higher power, right? So that's where the term yoga comes from. And then Kundalini specifically is so cool because it's representative of this coiled serpent energy. So that's why people will hear it's a tantric lineage and they think it's only about sex. And it has some of those elements because of the connection in the root chakra. The purpose of Kundalini yoga is really to release that sort of coiled, latent Kundalini or serpent energy. And as you release it, as it starts to make its way up the chakra system, you can start to embody like exactly who you're meant to be and just be yourself in this really beautiful, powerful way. And maybe we need to back up to like what the chakras are, and that's these energy points that exist within the human system, and there's 8 of them, and it can get pretty woo-woo if you want to get woo-woo with it, but you can also like there's science is always catching up with spirituality, right? So it's like chanting is good for the vagus nerve, which tones you or like puts you into rest and digest. And the movements are like good because they make you stronger, and there's community, so that makes you happier. So there's the very woo-woo aspects of Kundalini, but there's also the like pretty like dyed in the cloth reasons that we practice in community, right? Which is to show love for ourselves and for each other. So, you know, Kundalini yoga, the chanting can be a little intimidating at first, but that's like, I feel like people end up loving that the most.
Yeah.
So that's really beautiful. And then for sound healing, I think my sister was coming to a sound healing and was mentioning it to someone at a coffee shop, and he was like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to get jelly all over myself. And I think he thought it was like an ultrasound, but she was like, what are you talking about? Like, no, it's a sound healing.
That is hilarious.
Yeah, so you're right. I think a lot of people don't really know what's happening, or they think there's actually a bath involved. Which is lovely, and I do want to do that at some point. Have it like in a spa, but yeah, sound healing is I think one of the best ways to think about it is like, if you think about when you're trying to tune a radio, if you're slightly off the station, it's really fuzzy, it's distorted, and you're not quite hearing things, and it's just generally unpleasant, and we can become like that too. And so playing these different instruments, hearing these different songs, getting these different vibrations is a way of like coming back into harmony and coherence. And you actually start to match the most powerful and coherent sort of frequency in the room. And that's interesting because it happens on like this, in the way of like actual sound healing, like the gong or the sound bowls. But that can also happen spiritually, and it's why people love to be in person with spiritual teachers, because they're actually vibrating at a higher level and they're not as dense. And so you're starting, when you're in their presence, you feel light, you feel joy, you feel sort of abundant. And sound healing can bring those qualities out in your life by helping move some of stuck energy, and also just bringing you back into that coherent frequency. So it's literally like, it's a really good way to deepen your meditation practice. And then there's tons of studies that it actually does put you in the parasympathetic nervous system. So you're resting and digesting and truly healing. It reduces inflammation. It can help with depression and anxiety. And yeah, just to be really specific, like it's truly like you're playing, like I will be playing instruments and you'll be lying down enjoying them, and you're meditating. And it's really nice for people who, you know, I have ADHD, I have a busy brain. I wasn't always the best at sitting and meditating and just, you know, following my breath. But something like sound healing works whether or not you're trying. So when you're in the room and I'm playing the gong, like you're getting hit with those resonant frequencies and you don't have to do anything. You can fall asleep and you're still reaping some of the benefits, a lot of the benefits. So I love that as a way to make meditation a little more accessible. And I see it being really cool for maybe some, like, I see it coming from a trauma perspective too, for people who it's not safe to be with your thoughts and sit in silence. You can actually be in a sound healing and get kind of a quicker way into that meditative healing state without having to try super hard or feel overwhelmed by spiraling thoughts. So I think that's probably like, yeah, the easiest way to describe both of those things.
Yeah, I remember when I came to your first sound bath, it literally sounded like you were like over top of me the whole entire time. Like it's really cool experience, and I feel like everyone definitely needs to experience it once in their life, because it is really unique and kind of like unlike any other modality, I guess. Like it's just such a beautiful experience, and you really do feel like you're on cloud nine post like sound therapy. It feels so good.
Yeah, I think it's so interesting because like we spend a lot of time not really connected to our intuition and to ourselves, and like I think at points humans were just as intuitive and like psychic as animals. Like, you know how animals can tell when there's a storm coming? They just tap into the Earth's electromagnetic frequency and they can start to feel and sense things. And the more that we do these practices like sound healing or meditation, the more we're coming home to like really being human and being able to like get a connection to other people, get a connection to the planet that we live on. And yeah, it is a really unique experience because I don't know, I feel like it's one of the most powerful ways to manifest, because you're just coming into this coherence with the world, and you're part of the world, and you're able to just, like I was saying, like, you know, kind of like the Kundalini meditations, like the things that are right for you pop up, and you feel a little stronger to grab at those opportunities, or just new things seem to start to show up in your life. I think it's so interesting because, like, your work is so unlike anything I've experienced in terms of, like, aesthetics, because it's, like, beautiful and you look wonderful after. But I know with you, because of your experience, and I know you've done training in Kundalini, and you have this deep practice, like, what do you feel like is happening on an energetic level to people when they're getting a facial with you?
That is such a good question. I feel like it just allows people to kind of go into that parasympathetic state and just allow people to relax. That's kind of like the main thing, is just allowing people that moment of, like, peace and relaxation. And they also get better results when you're in that state, when you're not, like, resisting, like, the facial muscle movement and stuff. Like, sometimes people, you can feel their tension kind of, like, here in the masseter muscle, and they're, like, clenching it. And when they're relaxed and they just let go and kind of just, like, unwind and fall asleep, they almost get better benefits because they are, like, sculpting, like, relaxing, and I can move the muscle a little bit better. So you get better results as well, because you're not clenched onto, like, that I need to, you know, like, oh, relax my jaw, don't relax my jaw, like, they're kind of overthinking it. So yeah, I guess they get to relax that way. And then usually I am playing, like, some sort of Kundalini music in the background as well. So I have, like, some relaxation going on and some kind of added extra benefits from that, just so that my clients can leave here feeling super, super relaxed.
Yeah. I love that. I definitely feel that, like, what I was just saying about the sound healing, like, I feel like that too when I'm here. Like, I'm like so relaxed, but I'm getting downloads, I'm getting, like, intuitive hits, and then I mean, it definitely works. Like, I always leave being like, damn, I look good. Damn, I look good. I love what you said. It's so crazy. Like, the world is such a mirror. Like, the fact that what you're describing from something as, like, maybe micro as a facial is exactly what hurts people in their day-to-day, is tensing up and not letting go, and, like, you know, not letting go, and so they don't get the benefits of a facial. It's like, that's kind of what people do in their day-to-day life. It's like, like we were talking about, that grasping energy, not being in the flow, not letting go. It's like kind of keeping you from the right path, like, you know, believing that everything that's happening is kind of meant for you is one of the, like, most liberating ways to live.
Yeah, and I also think, like, sometimes people come in here and kind of like me, for example, like, I chat to people all day, and that's one of the things I love most about my job, is, like, kind of meeting people from all different walks of life. But a lot of people come in here because it's one of their only moments, you know, just to, like, relax and kind of have a peaceful moment, maybe without, like, kids running around, or whatever you have going on at home, or work life. And some people have a hard time of, like, that work-life balance, and if it is an opportunity where you can take your work home with you, like, sometimes people have a hard time, like, letting that go. So here it's like, you literally cannot be on your phone, and you have to have that moment to, like, relax and unwind and, like, reset, because you can't be working. So sometimes my clients will fall asleep right away, and then other times clients will be, like, talking, and then they just are, like, dead silent all of a sudden. Like, it just, like, hits them. So yeah, I think it's just a moment where they have to unwind as well. So
it is a funny situation, I feel like, in our society. Like, you know, we have to create spaces for people because, to your point, like, we're such a hustle society that unless you're almost forced to put your phone down or your work down, you don't really do it. And so I think it's so beautiful to create spaces for people, whether it's through this beautiful facial, or whether it's through a sound healing or a meditation class. Like, someone has to almost be the person showing you the way, or, like, kind of giving you accountability that, like, this is a safe container for you to just, like, stop, be with yourself, take a deep breath or two, you know, like really relax. So I think that's probably something people don't think about. Like they know the facial is relaxing, but you know, they're not realizing like, oh my gosh, wow, I got to take a break from my phone, from, like you said, whether it's kids or work or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's really beautiful.
Why don't you tell everyone a little bit about the Prosperity Club and kind of what it's all about as well?
Yeah, so right now, and for the last few months, there's been morning meditations on Zoom, and it's about a half hour long. It's Monday to Friday, and it's guided. And it's so amazing because there's a group energy that really happens when you kind of show up for each other, same place, same time. And last month was really, we were trying to focus on like, if you were trying to maybe change negative habits, you know, it's January, if you were sober curious, there was kind of space in that container to talk about that and form a bit of a group. You get the morning meditations, but you also get a weekly workshop. And that's been a Kundalini workshop, but it's also been, like I was saying, last month we had a Buddhist guest teacher, and he was this amazing like guy from the UK. He's a runner, he's a vegan, like he's just the coolest guy. So he was a guest teacher. And then, you know, this month we have a love coach from Colorado, and she's like absolutely already changed my mind when it comes to dating. She's teaching a workshop this month that has to do with sex and money, and all the meditations this month are connected to sex and money and opening those like portals. So yeah, currently it's really cool. Like we're kind of doing a bit of a theme, and I think next month, which is March, is going to be like money mindset and changing your fears around your money and your money programming. So yeah, it's been really beautiful, like just showing up. And like for myself, I'd be doing the practice every morning anyway. So, you know, I added on to my own personal practice, but yeah, it's been really beautiful. I really see it as like, you know, it's meditation and yoga and sound healing, but it's also kind of like coaching. I feel like what I've noticed time and time again, and especially with starting my own business, is like what you're mostly going to get from people is fear, and they're working from their negative minds. So what I love about Earth Sounds is like I really see it as like being people's sort of personal cheerleader, where they're able to dream really big, and it's a really safe container to imagine a life even bigger than you maybe thought was possible. And like I personally feel like all the things that I've wanted to happen in the last year have happened, and like that's so amazing. And it's like if you don't actually dream it and start to direct your dreams, then it's obviously not going to happen. But most of the times it's like people are like, be reasonable. And especially like speaking of Alberta, like it's really easy to kind of fall into a pattern here of like making enough money and like you know, settling down, and that's your life, and that's fine, and you get your weekends and you get your barbecues with the family, and that is all amazing, and I'm not judging it. But for someone like me that has always dreamed really big, I just want to create a container, especially because I've had so many beautiful teachers and people that have inspired me. So for me, I just want to create a space where people can start to dream really big and kind of go after their dreams, where you're going to be met with support and some practices to help you get there, right?
Yeah, and I think people also maybe don't realize that there's more out there. Like when I attended and filmed your one workshop, and you talked about like, okay, let's like journal about what our goals are. And then it's like, okay, what if you have that goal now? What would be next? And kind of like go to the next level of that, because I feel like you get like, this is where I want to go and this is what I want to do. And then it's like, okay, what if you had that? What would you do then? Like you don't really think past that part of like the first step. You kind of get stuck there, and then it's like, okay, but dream bigger. What else would you want? What else do you want to do? So I feel like sometimes people get stuck in that like, this is maybe it for me kind of mentality, or this is what I was told to do, or this is what I'm supposed to do. But there's always more that you can do.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think we're really, really kept in these sort of parameters based on programming that we've received, which is like how much you can ask for, how much you can desire, like, and how much are you worthy of. And that's the one that doesn't get explicitly stated, but I see it all the time where it's like, you know, kind of on the sidelines, I've coached a lot of friends that are negotiating raises, or you know, other freelancers that are looking at contracts that like are so deeply afraid to ask for what they're worth. But it's like, you're talking to a business, and like this is all just business, and you're producing for them, and like we're so taught to stay small and barely ask for what we're worth, and like it takes a long time to get past that. And something I've also noticed in my own personal journey that I worked through was the belief that like wanting bigger things or wanting money is like inherently bad.
Yes.
We have a thing where it's like we love to hate the richest people while we also obsess over what they're doing and what they have. And it's like, you know, or like we love to watch a good action show, but we don't want to take any bold action in our own lives.
Oh, yes.
Right? Like we're just sitting on the couch on the sidelines of our own lives because we don't believe we can do what we want to do. And like, why can't you? Anyone who's actually done something crazy, it's so from a place of just self-belief, and then just going after it time after time again. And it's not, the thing is, it is harder. It's harder than doing your 9 to 5 and getting your paycheck and going home and never asking for anything more. It is harder to ask for more, but it's like no risk, no reward. You're not gonna have a beautiful, like, sure, you'll have a beautiful life maybe, but like, I don't know, if you're one of those people like me that is so like passionate and obsessed with like these big dreams, I invite you to like go after them, because why not you? Like, why can't it be you?
Yeah.
That's what like really fires me up. And I think having a discipline and a practice attached to that is the way that you build the nervous system and the structure to have the big opportunities and hold on to them. Because like, that's what having the daily meditation practice does. Like, your nervous system is so grounded that like if you're starting to pull in big money, you're not going to just instantly get rid of it. Or you're getting a dream job or a dream relationship and you're not self-sabotaging anymore, because you've built up this nervous system that you know can hold these opportunities. So yeah, I feel like Prosperity Club is about so much more than just money as well. It's like just the freedom to be able to do what you want to do and feel like bold and strong.
Yeah. One of my last questions that I always ask people is, what do you love to do for self-care? Whether it's like rituals or like your morning practice, whatever it may be.
Yeah, my favorite thing to do is like get up before the sun is up and make like a beautiful coffee, kind of elixir drink. Right now I'm drinking this amazing, there's this metabolism powder by Sakara, and it's like deeply chocolatey and delicious. So I blend that up with like milk or cream or whatever and have coffee, and I get up and do my morning practice, which is, I always do morning pages while I drink my coffee, you know, light candles. I do my morning sadhana, so that's my own personal yoga, meditation, Kundalini practice. And yeah, especially like the days that I get up and do my full practice before I teach, it's such a difference. I can just like tell, I just feel so amazing. But that plus like I honestly have a bath like every night.
Oh yes.
Well, maybe not as much in the summer, but definitely in the cold winter, like it's such a beautiful self-care ritual. It's just like bubble bath with like tea, or like I've been loving the Sleepy Girl mocktail from Moon Juice, which is like magnesium.
I've been seeing this
everywhere.
So good.
Yes, like their magnesium powder, which is berry flavored. You mix it with tart cherry juice, which actually promotes melatonin. Promotes like your brain setting up more melatonin, and then you just top it with a little bit of sparkling water. And yeah, it's like this like beautiful nighttime little like non-alcoholic drink. And yeah, I drink that in the bath. It's very fancy, but I also like, I turn off, like I'm very into quantum biology, which is like all about circadian rhythm. So at night it's like candlelight and fire only, and like even in the bathtub it's like I have candles going. It's all very, my whole life is very like dedicated to self-care, which is amazing.
Yes, I love that. I know, I like, even in the mornings I like light my candles everywhere. I hate like overhead lighting in the morning. My eyes and like my body just are like, no.
You're like, no thank you.
Yeah.
I love that all the things that are actually so good for us, they feel good. Like it feels so lovely to just have candlelight and like you know, I'm a big proponent of getting light, natural light in your eyes and sun in your like eyes and on your face, and those things feel really good. And like media is obsessed with hiding from the sun and being on your computer, and like those are the most disruptive things you can do for your health. Just being staring on like screens all day and being inside like out of natural light. But when you do the right things, you feel so good. Like you're at the ocean, you feel amazing. You're grounding, you're getting those like the negative ions, you're getting the sun, you're getting the vitamin D, and like it's like our bodies just know so much. The best thing you can do if you have a hard time sleeping is get up and get that light in your eyes and see the sunrise like in the morning, and try to get out in the afternoon and see the sunset, because that's your circadian rhythm is going to regulate your hormonal production. So people that are staring at the TV or at the computer late into the night, it's like their body thinks it's the middle of the day and it's shooting cortisol and blocking melatonin production. So it's like, again, it's like a thing where, you know, science catches up with spirituality. There's so many spiritual meditations that have to do with sun gazing and watching the sunset and the sunrise. And then it's like people start to get into it when they're like biohacking bros and they heard it on the Huberman like podcast, which I love. I love the Huberman podcast, but it's like, it's always so funny. It's like all the stuff we know innately, but then people really have to be told by like a dude in a lab coat before they believe it.
So true.
That's so funny.
I 100% agree with that.
But yeah, we, you know, just do our thing and we know it works.
And I feel like that's so true, is like, you know what feels good in your body. Like even when you're going like forest bathing and just like off your phone and being in the forest, like, you know that's so good for you, because you can feel it. Like you totally feel it when you're off your phone and just like on a hike or whatever it may be. Like you feel so good after.
Yeah, that's so true. Like when we start to check in with our bodies and just know ourselves better, it's like I'm so much better now at regulating. And again, like having ADHD means like I spent most of my life ignoring my body's signals or not even really getting them the same way other people do. So it's like you'll slouch in a chair staring at a screen for so long and then be so grumpy and you don't know why. And like, what do you need? A nourishing meal and some time outside. And like, that's especially exaggerated, I think, when you have ADHD, because you tend to hyperfixate or you ignore some of the body's signals. But as I've become more and more in tune with it, yeah, you're totally right. It's like, wow, what was I even, like, you just feel so awful and you just go outside for your little mental health walk and you're like, oh yeah, I'm cool, I feel good.
That's why it's good too, like in the summer, it's like if you do work from home, like set those alarms and be like, hey, you need to get outside.
Oh, 100%, yeah. Yeah, I've been trying my best since I've been back in Calgary and it's winter to try and get out and see the sunrise and get sun in my eyes. And they say even if it's cloudy, there's still like, it's like 10,000 lux or something, which is way more than what you get from indoor lighting. So it's still good if you could get out there even for like 10, 15 minutes first thing in the morning. But it's hard, like, you know, some of the weather here has been so wild.
So wild this year, Well, thank you so much for coming on my facial features and being my third guest. I absolutely loved this conversation, and I think it'll be really helpful and enlightening to a lot of people who are watching or listening. And I will put all of Steph's information in the description box. This will probably go up in March, so I will also list any of her workshops or anything that she might be doing after this goes up in the description box below with all of her information. So thank you so much for being here and being you, and
thank you
spreading
so much.
love and light.
Oh, I love talking to you. I feel like we always have the best conversations.
We do.
It's so nice. And plus the added benefit of just leaving looking beautiful and being relaxed. Oh my gosh, thank you so much.
Yes, of course. I'm happy to have you, and you're welcome back absolutely anytime.
Oh, thank you.
You're glowing.
Yes, I feel the glow.